Hey there, this is Natalie, and this is part 9 of my reading of Mushoku Tensei prequel Old Dragon's Tale. This will cover chapters 17 and 18. We're getting very close to the finale now, where there are 23 chapters in total, and this series is going to be 11 videos long, so make sure you're subscribed and have notifications switched on, as the last 2 parts will be coming out very soon. And with that out of the way, let's get straight back into Old Dragon's Tale. Chapter 17, The Day of One World's End. The world of beasts. It's a world where huge forests grow endlessly and mountains are connected. People who imitate various animals live here. Dragon God boarded the 5 dragon generals in such a world. He sighed. When we arrived in the beast world, there were over 10,000 troops that appeared right in front of us. The time is night. The beast tribe's army was shining its brilliant eyes from the woods, surrounding the shrine at the top of the mountain. It was as if they were waiting for us. At that time, we didn't really understand what it meant. Why were they gathered around the mountain? Why did they look at us with murderous intent? I didn't even think about it. We belong to the dragon race. We are a combat race. We could only accept the hostility and the murderous intent as it was. They're our enemies. They killed Lunaria-sama. That's why they gathered here to greet us as we come for revenge. Or, if you looked more closely, you might have seen that the faces of the beast people were coloured with astonishment. It was as if they'd been startled by an unexpected arrival. However, it was only a small discomfort, now that I thought about it. "Bring out the one who killed Lunaria," the dragon god shouted at the astonished beast tribe. It's an angry voice, a voice that made us 5 dragon generals tremble, echoed throughout the beast world. All the beasts trembled. They knew that they're being glared at by a great and mighty being. They're faced by an absolute opponent. "We don't know." However, someone did not tremble by the voice of the dragon god, a person of the same rank as the dragon god. Yes, it's the beast god. He was different from the last time I saw him. He certainly does have the 2 heads, but he wasn't on his white wolf. He stood on his feet. Even though when I saw him at the meeting, he was always on the white wolf. "It's Pedoria." The beast god heard the name and made a suspicious look. "Pedoria is in your place." "He's gone." "I don't know where he is." "He's hiding." "Do you want to blindly accuse him? If you won't get him out, I'll crush the whole world." "Try it if you can." It was exactly this that I couldn't talk about. If you think about it, it seems that there wouldn't have been a fight if we'd had more calm discussions here. Whether it was a dragon god or a beast god, I didn't want to have a dialogue at the time. Find out and kill him. That was the only thing I had in mind. "Well," the dragon god spread its wings, and the beast god exposed his fangs and maintained his position. The battle had begun. The battle between the dragon generals and the beast tribe's army continued for 3 days and 3 nights. But is it good if I say that it was a battle? The dragon god had a duel with the beast god, and 5 dragon generals crushed all the obstacles. The beast tribe is a strong race. They have a keen sense of smell, eyes that can see through the night, and they can traverse rough roads without slowing down. Furthermore, they use voice magic. Their magic shakes the enemy's ears and can even lead to death. But to us dragon generals, it was nothing. Their claws, fangs, or weapons are not enough to penetrate the 5 dragon generals' body, and their voices just bounced back. Our hit on the forest blew away the mountains. Our nail scrapes the forest. With a single blow, 100 beasts were blown away and died. It was a massacre. The 5 dragon generals killed hundreds of thousands of beast race. There was an overwhelming difference in strength. The beast tribe also had warriors who were escorts of the gods, like us, but they did not become opponents. Then, while we were crushing the beast tribe, the dragon god and the beast god were fighting. The rank as a race was overwhelmingly higher for the dragon god, but their rank as a god is the same. The beast god was never inferior to the dragon god. The two were moving so fast that it was difficult to answer if someone asked what kind of battle it was. Because of the speed, shockwaves were always generated around, and the wind generated by the shockwaves created an airflow, creating several tornadoes. The tornadoes sucked everything from the land, and it became a sea of blood that rained a big tree and more blood upon the beast world. The main weapons of the beast god were claws and fangs. He bit and yelled at the dragon god at a speed that eyes could not follow. However, it was not enough to penetrate the scales of the dragon god. The dragon god, on the other hand, also has claws and fangs. He faced the beast god, tore at it with his claws, and beat him with his fist. But again, this was not enough to cut through the beast god's fur and damage his flesh. A situation where no decisive hit is given to each other. However, the damage must have accumulated. The morning of the fourth day, it was settled. It was quick for a battle between gods. When I saw it, the beast god was biting firmly on the shoulder of the dragon god. The fangs pierced the scales of the dragon god and spewed blood. Finally, it was the moment when the beast god hit the dragon god with what could be called a decisive hit. However, that decisive hit was just what the dragon god wanted. The dragon god grabbed the right and left heads of the beast god that had bitten and put a whole body of dragon tuki onto his body before he split it open to the left and right. He tore it in two. The dragon god then slammed the two of what was the beast god into the ground. A tremendous shock and flash. The overwhelming stream of energy struck the beast world. I was blown away. It was enough energy to blow away not only me, but all of the 5 dragon generals. We were blown away, struck onto the ground, but I soon got up. What I saw there was a huge crater. The dragon god slowly crawls out of there. He spread his wings and emerged into the sky, and he shouted so that he could be heard by the whole world. It was a scream of anger that could not be voiced. On that day, all the creatures of the beast world were imprinted with fear and hatred of the dragon race. The dragon god went wild. He rampaged, and rampaged. If you don't come out, I'll crush the whole world. There was no falsehood in his words whatsoever. 90% of the beast world was destroyed, and disintegration began. Most of the creatures living in the beast world have died. At this point, it wouldn't be possible for Perugius to still live. That much destruction has been done. Laplace, I'll leave the rest to you. Relieved to see now the already disintegrating beast world, he then goes back to the dragon world. He handed me a jewel. The jewel is covered in blood. The moment it landed on my hand, I understood that it was a jewel with the power of God. If you use it, it's possible to cross the boundary. Let's call it a god ball. Probably when the dragon god killed the beast god, it was extracted. With the god ball in my hand, I was bewildered. I didn't know what I was supposed to do when I was put in charge and told to see things through. The remaining people were running around in search of a safe place. However, where's a safe place when this world is about to end? I can only watch them in pity. As a result of the dragon god's rampage, the beast world is nothing but destroyed. Then, is he telling me to run around and kill all the remaining people? No, I wasn't ordered to do so. The beasts who continue to run around in this already destroyed world, they knew it clearly. I don't want to die, I want to survive. However, this world is disintegrating every second. Their annihilation was inevitable without my help. I had no choice but to watch helplessly as the world collapsed and people ran for their lives. What was on my mind was a question. What's in my heart is dubiousness. Is it necessary to do this much? Was it necessary to destroy everything? The game should have been settled when the beast god was defeated. I didn't know where Perugius disappeared after all, but I think it wasn't necessary to kill them all. I think there was another way. Beast race isn't all bad. I desperately shook off that idea. What the dragon god did, it must have had some deep meaning. I even thought it was a sin to doubt him. Good grief. There was someone talking behind me. It was standing behind me before I realised it. I have no idea when he got there, or when he was approaching. After I turned around, there was a god with an unmemorable face. Yes, it's the human god. It's pitiable, isn't it? He said, as if he'd seen right through me. No, perhaps he really had seen right through me. That time his power is still unknown to me. No matter how much you suspect that he killed Lunaria, not all of these people are bad. Most of them probably don't even know what happened. Suddenly God's dead and suddenly the world ends. There's nothing to do but despair. They didn't do anything. They didn't know anything. Human God stood behind me, looking at the beasts and whispering to me. I thought I was being blamed, that I did nothing but look. I can't stop this tragedy. But it seems it wasn't like that. After a while, Human God said something. Still, this is too pitiful. When I turned around, Human God smiled at me. Keep this a secret from Dragon God, okay? After he said that, Human God disappeared from view. Where did he go? Where is he going? I was pondering, but after a while I realised something. People were running away in a certain direction. A certain direction. That's the direction Dragon God went. Do these guys plan to take revenge on him? But Dragon God is long gone to the Dragon World, and they shouldn't be able to cross the boundaries. But they're certainly heading there, to the direction we came from, to a shrine that's used to cross beyond the world's boundaries. Then the people disappeared into the shrine, to the shrine that should only be available to God. Well, I could also use it with this God ball, though. Anyway, the human god moved. Human God saved all the remaining beasts, from the destroyed world to his world, the human world. The Dragon God may have intended to destroy all the beasts, and I as Dragon General should have followed it. Maybe I should have hindered the actions of the human god. However, I couldn't. It's good enough for me if Lunaria Summer's death got avenged. I didn't mean to destroy the beast world as well. That's why I stand still. I stand still looking at what human god is doing, until the last survivors of the beast race move into the human world. To be honest, I was even impressed at the time. How merciful this god is. Will he give that mercy to the beasts, even if his world is full? Even though the beast race may have killed Lunaria Summer in a planned manner? I don't intend to disrespect the dragon god whatsoever. For me, I remembered Lunaria's death as a deeply sad and angry memory. However, at the same time, I would have wanted him to show generosity and mercy. Of course, I didn't intend to directly make such a request to Dragon God. Even now, it seemed that if we consider how Dragon God felt, it was half unavoidable. But still, I wanted the beasts to be given salvation. Even for just a few times, we exchanged technicians and dragon warriors. That's why, give them a little bit of mercy, please. But it was not Dragon God who gave it, it was Human God. And seeing this figure, I really thought that this god is truly a trustworthy one. I didn't have any doubt, without knowing that it was his trick. Anyway, that was how the beast world was destroyed. The few remaining beasts were accepted into the human world. Only a few % survived, but still only a few % of the whole world's inhabitants. I don't know the exact number, but it wasn't small. Nevertheless, the human god accepted them as refugees. To put it the other way around, more than 90% of the beasts have died, including the beast god. It was the biggest disaster since the beginning of the 6 worlds. But such a catastrophe was only the beginning of the tragedy that was to follow. Chapter 18. Teleportation Research. Dragon God Summer annihilated one world after another. Sea World, Heaven World. There was no room for negotiation with either. All other worlds declared, "We cannot forgive Dragon World," after the destruction of Beast World. What we didn't know at the time was that they also had their own reasons to fight. There was no cause for standing down. By the time we arrived, Heaven and Sea World were already lined up and ready for battle. Sea Race's army dyed the sea black, Heaven Race's army blot out the sky. However, that show of force meant little for us, the 5 dragon generals. It was a massacre, just like Beast World. The 5 dragon generals cleared the riffraff, while Dragon God Sama faced off with their gods and showered the world with his wrath until it collapsed. The few survivors poured into human world under the human god's benevolence. We were victorious, one battle after another, but even we did not escape the battles unscathed. Dragon God Sama's body was tattered. From the bite wound he received from Beast God, he bled. Poison from the Sea God ate away at his leg. The beam of light from Heaven God blinded him in one eye. Dragon Race was indeed the most powerful race, that was a fact, but the gods were of similar rank. They were equals from birth, even if us, their children, differ. Even though the dragon generals were covered by battle scars, we could still fight. After all, there was still one world left. Yes, a race said to be equally powerful to the dragon race. Indeed, Demon World. I was worried. War with Demon World would not be a cakewalk. Not all of the 5 dragon generals may survive. Dragon God Sama himself may die. Should we really continue to prosecute this war until Demon World was fully destroyed? Of course, I felt no attachment to Demon World. Rather, I hated Demon World, the world that rejected me. However, after witnessing the destruction of 3 worlds, Beast World, Sea World, Heaven World, I felt a great revulsion. Was it all necessary? A collapsed world? Survivors with no escape? The desperation they all wore? If we lose, Dragon World would share that fate. No, our fate would be far worse. If Dragon Race tried to escape from our collapsing world, who would accept us as refugees? Human World? Maybe Human God would accept the Dragon Race. He has supported us, so the human race might be considered our ally. Even if Dragon Race loses, maybe they'll protect and shelter our survivors. But the human world already sheltered survivors of the 3 worlds we already destroyed. I heard they'd been granted land, recuperated, and settled into considerable territories, yet they would never forget the suffering, pain, and humiliation they endured. If Dragon Race refugees flood into the human world, they would certainly want us eradicated. Of course, I didn't plan on losing either. I had no plan for Dragon Race to be treated that way. But the opponent this time was the Demon Race. Losing is a possibility. I felt turmoil. Whether to request Dragon God Sama to stop. If Dragon God Sama could calm down and request Human God to intervene and mediate. After all, we still haven't identified Lunaria Sama's murderer. Shouldn't we calm down and identify the true suspect first? Let's stop and not complicate the situation. Wouldn't that be better? I thought so then. What I should have done. But I was so blindly worshipful of Dragon God Sama back then. Of course, I worship Dragon God Sama even now. But back then, the thought that Dragon God Sama might be wrong would never cross my mind. I wouldn't consider it. That was the circumstance for the 5 dragon generals. Only the most faithfully loyal to Dragon God Sama can become a 5 dragon general. We must affirm all of Dragon God Sama. Expecting us to restrain him was impossible. That's what I thought then. But I was lost. As we watched Dragon God Sama relentlessly ready for the next battle, the 5 dragon generals were all a little lost. I couldn't talk about it with anyone either. Who could I talk to? If Lunaria Sama was alive, she might have shared her wisdom. Now that I thought about it, she was the only one of all of Dragon World who could have advised Dragon God Sama. But if she was alive, this war would never have happened. Her death instigated the war after all. Nothing could be done. A dead end. Stewing in my thoughts, I passed each day only with Saliact for comfort. However, one person did take note of my sentiment. Dora Sama. One day she invited me to her house. Thinking back, it was the first time I'd been to her house. A simple abode, unbefitting of a dragon general. Only a handful of servants, the minimum of material necessities. Meeting her servants saddened me. I'd almost forgotten due to the shock of Lunaria-sama's death, but many of her servants were also killed in the incident. Baby Perugius was resting at the back of the house, not yet old enough to open his eyes. He had neither claws nor fangs, sparse scales. Even the wings on his back were still tiny, a frail creature that would make your protective instincts blossom. Was it because he's not yet grown? Dora-sama saw me watching Perugius and asked, "What's wrong? Worrying about something?" It was a gentle voice, not an interrogating one. She was trying to comfort me with kindness. Our times as teacher and student suddenly rushed back to me. I almost cried. After my selection as a 5-Dragon General, I didn't speak much with Dora-sama, but she was always watching out for me. Truth be told, by the time I realised it, all the words I had locked away in my heart came spewing out. I readied myself to be punished for my insolence. But Dora-sama listened quietly. Even when I raised my voice, Dora-sama didn't change her expression. When I finally finished, she answered in a quiet voice, "It's only natural that you don't understand the will of Dragon God Sama." Not trying to push me away, rather it's a voice of regret. "Come, I'll show you something interesting," Dora-sama said, leaving the house. I followed her as I was told. As we flew out of the city, Dora-sama didn't say a word. I didn't ask where we were going either, but simply followed. We flew for about an hour, until Dora-sama landed atop a mountain, an ordinary nameless mountain. Dora-sama folded her wings and spoke for the first time. "Here." "Here?" I replied like an idiot. I saw only a mountain. Dora-sama noted that I didn't notice anything special about this mountain. Without answering me, she quickly walked before a boulder. With a hand on a boulder, she chanted, "This is..." At the end of the chant, the boulder suddenly disappeared. In its place, a cave wide enough for one person to pass through. A secret passage. Dora-sama silently stepped into the cave, and I followed. Inside the cave was a narrow passage. It was dim, but the passageway seemed to be well maintained. There was a room at the end, a room created by carving out the narrow cave, with ceilings too low for flight, basically the size of a typical house. Desks were lined up inside the room, with various stationaries and bundles of paper placed on them, and there were a lot of dragon race, sitting by the desks, on the ground, some standing where they worked. Everyone was focused on their work. "This is Teleportation Research Lab." Teleportation. I knew before that the dragon race was studying teleportation research, but I didn't know where and when, and how far along, despite being a 5-Dragon General. "Once you know this, your worries will clear up," Dora-sama said and walked about the room. "All researchers are here." Watching them with admiration, I noticed something in particular. Everyone's scale colours are rather faded. Many no longer have any webbing in their wings. Many others have lost their fangs. To my surprise, only old people worked there. Only the elderly. That's right, only the dragon race who've reached the end of their lifespans gather here. I didn't ask why, but I could guess. Because teleportation magic is dangerous. If an experiment fails, the whole mountain may disappear. That's why only old people ready to die could do the research. Of course, there might be other reasons as well. Old people are more suited to research than hot-blooded young ones. In fact, this was the case in the other worlds as well. In Demon World, since the immortal demons tend to be idiots, those with short lifespans tend to be researchers. "Everyone, thank you for your hard work. Today the 5-Dragon General, Demon Dragon King Laplace, came to inspect your work. Just work diligently as usual. As you were." When Dora-sama finished, everyone welcomed me with the utmost salute. It was a powerful salute, despite their age. I could appreciate they were all dragon warriors once. "Welcome, young one. Apologies for our lack of courtesy, but please enjoy your inspection." I appreciate it. With little hesitation, I decided to answer him respectfully. Although I may be a dragon general, they had served Dragon God Sama with honor before I was born. I thought I should be respectful. Come, I'll show you. I followed Dora-sama around the laboratory. Dora-sama briefly explained the research being conducted in the lab, but to be honest, I had no idea what they were doing at that time. I'm well versed with magic now, but back then I couldn't distinguish one magic from another. The old men were developing what we would now call magic circles, but to me back then, it only looked like weird patterns and scribbles. Even though I didn't understand, I tried to memorize them, a force of habit. Ever since coming to the dragon world, I was learning constantly, no matter what. If I knew the logic behind it, I could reproduce it. If they let me study the vast amount of research materials from the past, I'm sure I could catch up to them. But it was a rude awakening for me. Their research wasn't so trivial that a beginner could grasp it at a glance. Do you understand? No. Just as well. They'd lose their positions if you catch up to thousands of years of research just like that. Looking back, that place was certainly ahead of its time. Focused on teleportation and summoning magic research, the great magic of the early days was more magic than magical technique. Much was still undiscovered. Only a few things were understood at a practical level. A mountain of wisdom written on those dragonhide parchments. If only a bunch of those had survived, the current magic system would have changed significantly, if anyone understood them. Afterwards, Dora-sama demonstrated summoning magic. Summoning magic at its earliest form, at its most native form. But it isn't much different from now. A way to summon creatures from other worlds. She summoned a small fish from Ocean World, just a powerless fish. After its collapse, SeaWorld no longer had any inhabitants, but some living things clinged on. Seeing the fish reminded me of the first time I visited SeaWorld. I'm used to it now, but back then I was quite excited to see a fish for the first time, to realise such creatures exist in other worlds. Fish have an unusual shape, don't you think? A strange creature that could only survive in water. You don't think so? There are fish in our back pond? Well, yes. But I lived for a long time in worlds without the sea. But you don't find blue dragons odd when you first see them? They have a form that could only live in the sky. Dragon God Sama kept the research results a secret from the dragon race. Do you know why? No, I don't. He's worried. Unlike the monsters and teleportation incidents, there's no way to counter it. It'll only cause unnecessary trouble if announced, Dora-sama said. Well, probably other reasons as well, such as the research won't produce immediate results. If they presented their findings and more teleportation incidents occurred, it'd create more pressure for the research team. Why couldn't you tell me? Because you were appointed as a 5-dragon general responsible for contact with other worlds. I was rather shocked. As a 5-dragon general, I thought I stood as an equal with the other 4, but only I was not informed of our secret missions. Perhaps until then I was a security risk or a potential traitor. Don't look at us like that. It's not like we're concerned that you may betray us. Then why? It'll only hinder your work. If our research revealed the culprit behind the monster and teleportation incidents, some things were better not to know. I understood that immediately. Some demons are capable of reading minds too. Don't be sad. Let me explain the situation. Dora-sama patted me on the shoulder and proceeded to explain her research. It seems that the 5-dragon generals each have their own area of research. Teleport, summoning, magical beasts, and barrier magic. Crystal's focus was teleportation. Dora-sama inherited his legacy. She became the expert in both summoning and teleport magic. Summoning magic calls creatures from other worlds. Teleportation magic is the reverse, sending them to another world. Fundamentally, they're the same. Animals. What about people? Sure, Dora-sama said definitively. That's what other researchers have misunderstood, that we've been using summoning and teleportation to sow discord between the 6 worlds. We neither plan or intend to. Quite the contrary, Dragon God Sama specifically forbids the summoning and teleportation of people. Yes, Dragon God Sama made summoning people a taboo. Of course, if you can call and send people between worlds, it basically meant the dragon race was responsible for the teleportation incidents. Therefore, restrictions were written into the foundations of summoning magic to prevent summoning of people. Buried so deeply into its innermost layers, turning into a black box, a level of complexity that even I couldn't analyse. Even users of summoning magic could not understand its roots. Perhaps only Dora-sama could unlock that black box. Do you know why we kept teleport and summoning magic a secret? Because it will be abused if known. Yes, if it's for Dragon God Sama, we the dragon race is capable of anything without regard to the consequences. I heed those words and nod. Let's suppose someone got in Dragon God Sama's way, and for whatever reason Dragon God Sama could not outright kill them himself. Then I would. I'll deal with the consequences. If I can absolve Dragon God Sama of the sin, I'd do it without any hesitation. Therefore, Dora-sama refused to share teleport and summoning magics with the 5 dragon generals. Conversely, she also didn't know much about barriers and magical beasts, but the possibility exists. Thus, the suspicion from other worlds that we're the culprits cannot be absolved. Of course, 5 dragon generals would do no such things. The only thing we could do was figure out who's the culprit behind the monster and teleportation incidents. No, results of my research showed that the incidents weren't caused by magical techniques. Its fundamental principles are different. How? We create the phenomenon using magical circles, but there's no traces of such in the monster and teleport incidents. Research had progressed. We could now teleport and summon, and understood the reasons behind the monsters and teleportations. So what was the cause? We called it Dragon Tuki, Dora-sama explained. Power permeates the 6 worlds. In Dragon World, we called it Dragon Tuki. In Demon World, they called it magic power, a power possessed by every living creature of the 6 worlds. People, fish, beasts, birds, even dragons. The monsters and teleportation incidents were both a result of this power. When a large amount of power is absorbed, creatures turn into magical beasts. More powerful creatures transform into more powerful magical beasts, and people were no exception. But unlike other creatures, their appearance does not change significantly, only they wield greater magic and special powers. My demon eye, the overwhelming power of the 5 dragon generals, they're all phenomena of this power. This power maintains a natural equilibrium between the 6 worlds. If the power diminishes significantly in one world, it'll be retrieved from another to compensate. This transference not only caught up with trees and animals, but also people. As a result, teleportation incidents occur. People were spirited away. But we hit a dead end. We didn't figure out the cause of the imbalances. Why did the incidents occur more frequently? Then, a breakthrough. According to the researcher's hypothesis, he said that at a certain time, the power of the 6 worlds suddenly declined, creating significant imbalances. The worlds absorb power from each other more to compensate, creating teleportation incidents. Because of the power gradient within each world, magical beasts appeared more frequently as well. So the theory goes. The most promising theory so far. However, why did the power of the 6 worlds suddenly diminish? There must be a cause. We only got so far with our research when the war began. We also missed the opportunity to tell you as well. I haven't had the chance. But the end result was a method to travel to other worlds. Laplace, do you know why the Dragon God allowed you to negotiate with other worlds and invite their specialists into Dragon World? No. When the research progressed a little more, Dragon God Sama intended to share these technologies with the 6 worlds, its cause, remedy, as well as methods to prevent the incidents from reoccurring. Once again I was touched by Dragon God Sama's grace. He was not only considering the Dragon World, He wished to save all the worlds. Dragon God Sama was truly gracious, yet they spite his efforts, even repaid his kindness with spite. Do you understand now? Any trace of confusion has left me. The other worlds had betrayed Dragon God Sama. More than betrayal, they robbed him of his beloved. His wrath was justified. This war was inevitable. A just desert. My hesitation has disappeared. To tell the truth, I didn't understand half of the explanation about summoning at that time, but my concern had dissipated. In the next battle, I decided to take the lead. After an utmost salute to Dora-sama, I left the research lab and flew away, satisfied and resolute, re-energized for the coming battle with the demons. But I was a fool. If I were a little smarter back then, with a bit more knowledge of summons and teleports, I would have asked Dora-sama, if the power theory was true, then wouldn't our destruction of the other worlds create further imbalance? Wouldn't more magical beasts and teleport incidents occur? If I'd just said those words, maybe it won't have been such an end. The wise Dora-sama would certainly come to a new conclusion. But I was such a fool back then, and the battle with Demon World began.